So tonight we're going to go over dating, and because we have, I'll just give you, it's a little bit, it feels a little clunky to me. So normally it's like, you know, we feel like there's a little bit of a smooth teaching, and it's a little bit clunky to me. So we're going to go through kind of 3 different phases. How many know there's like the infatuation, maybe talking stage, and then there's this new stage that I have no idea for your generation is called the situationship. You familiar? Yeah, I heard some noise. That's for real, right? This is a thing? I have no idea. I have no idea what this is. And then dating, like romance. So we have. So we're going to go through the 3 of those, and I'll explain. There's several questions that were asked, kind of that we'll dig into a little bit tonight as well, concerning some of the dating. Okay, so. You heard me talk about infatuation, and so we're going to start out with dating. So you've caught the eye of someone, and you are like, ooh, you're starting to catch the feels. Infatuation is this, actually it's neurochemical as well, where you are very excited about someone. You can't get them off of your mind, and you're like, ooh, I really, really like them. What's interesting is this infatuation moment. If you are a guy that come to me, or a girl, and you come to Angela and you're like, hey, you know, I'm kind of spying this person, like, hey, what do you think? I'm going to ask you, what is it you value in them? And I'm going to be listening for things like their character, maybe something you know about them. But I'll know if it's infatuation when I hear something like, oh yeah, man, she's like a follower of Jesus. I'm like, okay, many of them are. And she's like super hot. I'm like, okay, many of them are. And she's just like, when I talk to her, it's just like fire. Okay, that's infatuation, right? I've had you laugh. I've had someone. I won't call them out. Okay, they're in the room. So here's the deal. Here's the deal with infatuation. Infatuation lasts anywhere from like 6 to 18 months, okay? And it's actually experienced on different levels between guys and girls. And the problem is this neurochemical imbalance that is happening within you actually blinds you to who they are. So, okay, so this is Caleb and Eileen back here. Raise your hand, say hello. They're going to share later. They're dating. Their dating story. They're married and making babies. Awesome. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. So just so you know, Caleb, he's a pioneer of SFC Rotterdam. He was one of the crew right there. So when I've told stories in the past and I didn't name who it was probably Caleb or his buddy Timon. It's probably who it was. And I laugh because there's a couple of stories in here that are Caleb and Timon tonight specifically. So that'll be fun. All right, so here's the neurochemical. So when we go into, and again, this infatuation leads to idealization. So I think I said before we were having one of our Thanksgiving meals. There was this girl that was infatuated with a guy, and she had dropped her napkin, and he walked by and picked up the napkin and put it on the table. And for her, he was the most chivalrous man alive. Nothing he could do could go wrong. She was completely blind to any of his flaws at all, right? So here's the chemicals that happen. First, there's the rush chemical. These are responsible for the immediate physical symptoms, the racing heart, the sweaty palms, and that I can't eat or sleep energy. So this is the dopamine reward that is happening. It's a heavy hitter. In the brains, it's our feel-good neurotransmitter. When you're infatuated, dopamine levels spike, creating a sense of euphoria and intense focus on your partner. It's the same chemical released by gambling or certain stimulants. So it's like gambling, I guess. All right. There's also, there's a big word, norepinephrine. This is the energy, similar to adrenaline. This chemical gets your heart pumping. It's why you feel incredibly alert and you can stay up talking till 4 a.m. without feeling tired the next morning. Then there's the obsession chemical. Ever wonder why you can't stop replaying every word they said in your head? This is serotonin, and actually there's a serotonin drop. So interestingly, in the early stages of like this romanticism, serotonin levels actually drop. Low levels of serotonin are also found in people with obsessive compulsive behaviors. I don't like that. That hits me. I'm a little bit of a romantic. Also, I could be obsessive compulsive, so maybe that's a problem for me. This drop is likely why new lovers become obsessed and lose the ability to focus on anything else. And then we've talked about, in the chemical war, the bonding chemicals of oxytocin and vasopressin, and why those bonding chemicals in sexual activity are the very thing that, as we have said, is the very thing that works against you in relationship prior to covenant and works for you when you are in full covenant, okay? Lastly is the love blindness effect, and these are the chemicals that are flooding the prefrontal cortex. How many are under 25 years old? Yeah, that's most of you. Your prefrontal cortex is not even fully developed until you're 25. It's a true story, in case you didn't know. These chemicals are flooding in your prefrontal cortex, and it's a part of your brain responsible for logic and critical judgment. Actually sees a decrease in activity, so you get dumber than you already are. It's true. Sorry. Natalia's upset. Fun fact, the chemical profile of a person in the throes of new infatuation is remarkably similar to the profile of someone experiencing high stress event, which is why it can feel so overwhelming. So we say this, like in it, there's an idea that we need to be careful of, and we need to be evaluating them soberly. We want to know what their values are. We want to know what their character is, right? Because our foundational understanding is that if every marriage, the end point, if every marriage points to the love of Jesus for the church, then backing that up, who we date and who we are with is really important. And shouldn't start with infatuation, right? So, of course, we're going to have some level of infatuation, the feels. If we're aware of it, it gives us opportunity that we can understand that this is happening, and soberly we can evaluate them. So here's the let's say I'm losing words, like not tricks of the trade. Here is some advice. Here's some advice on how you can battle this, okay? So number one, you need to understand, and this is a statement, guys lie and girls lie. You're like, I don't lie, what are you talking about? Okay, so we want to we like it, the idea that someone other than our mommy likes us. And so we put our best foot forward, which sometimes isn't our genuine self, right? We put on a little bit. And so if the other person is infatuated or having neurochemical imbalance, they may just see that as like, wow, this is the most amazing person ever. And you're not soberly able to see, oh, you know what, they're putting on a little bit. This isn't genuine. I only see them acting like this in front of me and not in front of everyone else, right? Or at home or whatever. Remember, we cannot share infatuation at all the same level. I can't tell you how many students I've had, a few, mainly the students who haven't listened to Angela or myself or under authority. They've entered into a relationship, they were infatuated, and then a short time later, I would hear something like, oh, they're not who I thought they were. They're not who I thought they were. Infatuation blinded them to maybe some red flags that were happening, okay? So this is what's important. We've talked about this before, is that you need to be under authority. Under authority in leadership or in your small group leader or that person. Who's that person that can speak into your life even when you don't want to hear it? Hey, bro, I know she's cute, but she's crazy. You need to run away. Or, hey, girl, this guy, not cool. You need to run away from him as well, okay? That you're under authority, that there are people, because it's your friends that are around you, right? That see them for who they are, see this other person for who they are. This is why we even talk about the safety of community. Find your people, find your person, because we all know each other. We're getting to know each other, and in that, you say, hey, I maybe have some eyes for this person. We all know who they are. We know their character. We've seen their fruit. Yeah? We don't have to figure it out later. The counterpart of Caleb, his best buddy, who was also just a founder of SFC Rotterdam, pioneer. He went on a little trip for his buddy's wedding, and on that trip he met his buddy who was getting married, met his sister, and he became immediately infatuated with this girl. And he calls me. He's in California for this wedding, and he calls me, and I'm like, this is about, like, he wouldn't call me when he's in the U.S., like, he just wouldn't call me, so he calls me, and I'm like, this is about a girl. I didn't even say his name. This is about a girl. How'd you know? Nuh-uh. How'd you know? Like, why else would you call me? So he's infatuated with this girl, and I'll tell you the long story. The short part of the story is they began to jump into relationship. Caleb and I were doing a lot of counseling on this, and how should I say that softly? There was not a lot of listening, and she came here to live for a while, and it was a complete and utter disaster. It was. Because what she projected was not who she was. What she projected was not who she was, and he was blind. He was blind. In reality, he was blind to what it was. And we got to ride on that roller coaster with them. And it wasn't great. It was not a fun roller coaster. Okay, so when we're in the dating phase, number 2, are you ready for dating? Are you ready for dating? Are we doing? Ooh, yes. Count it. You're going slow. There you go. So, dating, and let's call it, maybe this is like the understanding or getting yourself ready. Are you ready for dating? It is going to cost you in your time. It is going to cost you in your effort. It's going to cost you in your energy. It's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you in your emotions. Yeah, you know it costs you money, right? It's expensive. The guys are like, yeah, it's really expensive. It's going to cost you in your activities and what you do in your free time. It's going to cost you in your responsibilities. It's going to cost you spiritually, and it's going to cost you in your relationships. Now, I'm going to circle back to this, but what I want you to know is, or the understanding of the maturity, I think, that it takes beyond this infatuation, beyond the feels, to step into relationship with the understanding that we've been talking about in previous weeks, to love and to serve someone well. And initially to serve them well, because the love thing maybe hasn't jumped in there yet, right? To serve them well. Ephesians 5 says this, and to the husbands you are to demonstrate love for your wives with the same tender devotion that Christ demonstrated to us, his bride. And what is that? For he died for us, sacrificing himself to make us holy and pure, cleansing us through the showering of the pure water of the Word of God. There's an idea that we serve, this is in depth, that we serve unto death. That's our standard. We serve unto death. Are you ready to make that commitment? I'll circle back to that in a minute. Number 3, I would say this, in the dating phase. Protect the community and don't ruin the culture. Protect the community and don't ruin the culture, okay? We like to be liked, right? And we talk about loving and serving each other well in true community, yeah? So what would happen if someone here just did something very kind, like, let's say Yella, he went and got a cup of water and gave it to Natsu. And she would be like, he loves me. We're going to get married. Right? There's a problem with that, right? We've read into it way too far. So if we're protecting the community or protecting the culture that is here to love and serve each other well, receive service without realizing it's anything further than that. So receive service, receive love, receive genuine loving and serving of each other. That's a protection of the community and not reading into it further. Caleb's laughing because he knows he's about ready to get thrown under the bus. So we have the story of Caleb and Timon. So when we started SFC, we had Caleb and Timon and a few other guys, and we had then a bunch of girls. And the girls in our group at that time had not experienced guys that were like, they genuinely loved Jesus. And they were genuine in their relationships. So they would come And what the girls knew mostly were guys that were unbelievers and just wanted to get in their pants, meaning they wanted sex, just to be real. So all of a sudden we're in this environment, we're talking about loving and serving each other well, and we have Caleb and Timon, and they're like, to the girls, they come in like, hey, stare them straight in the eyes, hey, how are you doing? How was your week? Doing good? Yeah. And they were very genuine in that. The girls lost it. They were gone. They had never experienced any guy that was ever genuine, look them in the eyes and not at their boobs, and actually wanted to know how their week was, right? This was the paramount moment, though. We're having a moment where after we're done teaching, and we're going to pray for each other, and we're laying hands on each other, and we had these high stools. I remember watching this, and Caleb, naive and just so genuine, so pure. There was a number of people that had their hands on her shoulder, and so he just put his hand like on her knee. Yeah, see, right? Yeah, he no clue. This guy back in the day, clueless. He's like, no, you'll get. Yeah, he just wanted to bless her. So he goes, like Caleb, you ever heard, dear God, if you would just bless her. Literally, it was like that. I'm telling you, I'm watching this whole thing, and she's like this, and she does like one eye down on the knee. And at him. I'm telling you, when that prayer got done, he could have got down on one knee and asked for her hand in marriage, and she would have said yes. It was over. It was over, right? They just had an experience. So protect the community. This community is built on loving and serving each other well. So you don't need to read in beyond someone just serving you well. Receive service. We have to receive grace from Jesus, right? Freely given. And if we can't receive service here in the physical, then how can we receive grace from Jesus that's free? Okay. Then last, on this last point of dating is the idea of it's going to cost you is that you need to prepare yourself. I talked about in weeks previous, we carry our baggage into marriage, and baggage marries baggage. What I have found, therefore, is baggage dates baggage. And what I mean by baggage is our emotional health, the negative values that we bring in from family of origin, the negative experiences that we've brought from life, we bring in to relationship. And so you need to understand that there are things that are going to become tension in a relationship if they're not resolved, if they're not fixed. Okay? I don't think I have a good story for that one. I'm sure I do if I think about it. I won't give you a story. So we have to get through some stuff. So how do you make yourself dateable? Maybe it's that you need to grow in a certain area. You know that you need to grow in character. You need to grow in your faith. Maybe it's some idea of like, hey, maybe I should have a little money first. Maybe that's an idea. Or maybe some relational skills. I have no idea how to talk to girls. Okay, start to learn. There's a safe community. Go up and talk to a girl. They're nice. They won't bite. Remember, seeking first the kingdom of God that we did in Matthew. Seek first the kingdom of God assumes growth. That we are growing spiritually. That we're growing in our character. We're growing in our skill set. So this fun little analogy is like if you go to Germany and you go to the Autobahn, there's no speed limit there, so you can drive really fast. And the idea is, are you driving a Punto or are you driving the Mercedes? When our first little car here that we had this little thing called a Honda Shuttle, and it had 7 passengers in this little car, and it was purple. If you guys remember the purple car, any of you? Remember my purple car? Any of you? And that little car was great. It would run forever. But when I was on the Autobahn in Germany, I have like the pedal floor. All 5 kids in the back, and it's like maxed out at like 130. And all the big boys come flying by me. All the Mercedes, all the BMW, and I'm like, forget this, I'm getting me a Mercedes. Okay? So, prepare yourself, make yourself ready, drive the Mercedes. Drive the Mercedes, okay? Don't drive the Punto, all right? You don't want to get passed by. It's not that fun. How do we do that? How do we do that? Where do we start? For those of you who are beginning weeks, how do we start with that? Where's the best place to start? Yeah, here? Okay. Guys serving their guys and girls serving the girls. Guys serving their guys, girls serving the girls. Get in small group, serve your guys. Get in small group, serve your girls. This is where the tension will grow you in character, it'll grow you in skill set, it'll grow you in even your social skills, it'll grow you spiritually. And when you serve others, it speaks loud. It speaks loud. So the missions team is here. I always love to ask the couples, like, hey, how did you meet? And it's always some story on a missions trip, right? And Luke was like, hey, I was like, so when did you see Jess? And he's like, well, we're on a missions trip. And I said, oh, I'm about to make a t-shirt. You know what the saying is? Hey, baby, I like the way you serve. Every missions team has someone like this. Every one. I like the way you serve, baby. Okay. All right, let's jump on the situationship. The situationship. Some of you are near a situationship. Some of you are in a situationship. I don't understand what this is. You just need to commit, okay? All right. Okay, so number one. We have said it in the past. We've said this in past weeks, so I want to flush this out a little bit, is do not practice divorce. Do not practice divorce in your situationship, okay? What that is in the areas of life, money, time, sexuality, spirituality, in character, that you are going all in one area and being not committed in all the other areas, okay? When we're fully committed, we can be fully committed in all those areas when we have entered into covenant relationship, being married, okay? Before that, we do not give more than we are committed to. Often I'll hear, oh, how much, I went too far, and we went too far in this area, I went too far in this area, I gave too much in this area, and it caused a ripple in our relationship, okay? So don't practice divorce, and especially as we've talked about in the chemical war and in previous weeks, there are some accelerators that cause in our relationship. One is time, spending a lot of time together. Number two is physical, is an accelerator, and spiritual. Now you think, okay, so those are good things. Here's where they can be negative. Obviously, spending too much time in it as a couple makes you a what? A vacuum. Makes you a vacuum. And remember, the end goal, if our every marriage points to the love of Jesus for the church, is an outward expression. Doing the acts of God, yeah? The ministry of God in serving and loving people well. That's the expression of the strength of marriage, okay? So time is, we're spending so much time. How many dudes, all of us dudes, have a guy? They're in small group there, then the brotherhood, we're going, and all of a sudden they just disappear. What do we all know happened? He got whooped by some girl, and he's in a vacuum, right? You girls probably have the same way, right? I'll just be straight. I said it the first week. There are girls that were a part of SFC in the beginning of this year that are no longer. Guess what happened? They became a vacuum. Time is a vacuum. Physical. We've talked about this in the chemical war. Physical is an accelerator in a relationship. We've talked about the neurological side and the chemical side. Sexual activity is literally designed in our body to connect us and bind us together. So when we're practicing those things and then being forced to pull away because we're not fully committed is literally practicing divorce in your head and in your emotions every single time. Every single time. And then number three, spiritually, this one you're like, well, how could that be negative? There's been a few situations over the years where we have a guy and a girl, and we're just going to be like extra spiritual, and like I'm just gonna pray for you and all of your. It's uncomfortable, right? Did you cringe out of your mind? Yeah. Okay. Like it became a little. Joe was like, remind me to never come here again, or just don't sit on the front row, right? Okay. Right. It can become a negative as well in becoming a vacuum and not outwardly focused. Okay, so those are our accelerators. So don't give more than you're committed to emotionally, physically, in your money, spiritual time, and in friendships. Okay. A good example of this is You've heard this before. Girls, I'm not picking on you. I'm not picking on you. The story of guy and girl get together. Girl wants to feel close or connected to her guy. And so what does she do? What does she do? Naturally. Blah! Here's all my junk. And he goes, whoa! Okay, crazy person, I'm out. Whatever, right? Her intentions are good, but she spews all the junk. She spews and gives more than she's committed to. And that causes a flaw or a ripple in the relationship. You with me there? That makes sense? Okay. Did you put notes in for the dopamine break? You did. Okay. All right. Here is what happens when this disconnection happens. So when I say practice divorce, you give more than you should, and you have to pull back neurochemically and emotionally. Here's what happens. So number one is the dopamine crash. When you are rejected or separated from a partner, your brain is suddenly deprived of its primary reward source. The craving phase, initially, dopamine levels actually spike because the brain is trying to get reward back. This is why you might feel an obsessive urge to check their social media or call them. The crash, when the reward doesn't come, dopamine levels plummet. This leads to symptoms identical to clinical depression, lethargy, loss of interest, and a feeling of grayness in the world. Number two, there is physical pain that is not actually an illusion. Functional MRI scans show that when people look at photos of an ex-partner, the areas of the brain that light up are the secondary, big word, somatosensory cortex and the dorsal posterior insula. The overlap is this. There are the exact same regions that process physical pain like a burn or a broken bone. So the result, your brain doesn't distinguish between my heart is broken or my arm is broken. This is why people often feel a literal ache or a chest in their chest or a hollow feeling in their stomach. Then there's the stress hormone flood. During a breakup, the safety chemicals, oxytocin, vanish and the body's alarm system takes over. The cortisol and adrenaline, your brain perceives the loss of social bond as a threat to survival. It floods your system with cortisol. Then the physical toll is this. High cortisol levels of extended periods divert blood away from the digestive system, causing butterflies or nausea, and can lead to muscle tension, sleep deprivation, and a weakened immune system. This is called the broken heart syndrome. In extreme cases, the chemical surge of a breakup can actually change the shape of the heart. The mechanism, a massive surge of adrenaline, can stun the heart's left ventricle, causing it to balloon out. The symptoms are that it mimics a heart attack, including chest pain, shortness of breath. While usually temporary, it is a stark reminder of how deeply our emotions are tethered to our biology. This is happening. Now, these are the results of, they're talking about a full breakup. However, this is happening while the relationship is not broken up. It is when we have given too much beyond our commitment. We have to pull back. This literally happens within our body. This literally happens inside of our body. Serious stuff. Okay, third point. This is all in the situationship. I'm going to circle back to community really quick. In your situationship, consider the community impact. Can you go into this relationship and maybe after a few weeks realize, hey, you know what? We have different goals. This isn't a thing, and break it off. And the community is not that impacted. How many have been in a community where two people start dating and then they break up and it's all ugly and everyone's mad at everybody because they all took sides? That's the part that I'm talking about. You shake your head. The Bible school students. Healthy relationships. So I talked about time being a vacuum. When you start a relationship, when you are in a dating relationship, whether you're in the situationship or the dating relationship, your relationship should not be a vacuum. It is one that promotes the relationships that you already have. If you have someone, this is a monster red flag. We've seen this time and time again. If you have someone, then you start dating and they attempt to start putting a wedge between, Jovan's like, I'm scared. He's coming towards me again. I'll go after these guys. If they start putting a wedge between you and your friendships, that's a massive red flag. No, don't listen to them. Oh, no, you don't want to spend time with them. The worst is between you and potentially those who are in authority over you. Your parents, your leaders, small group leader, that person who can speak into your life even when you don't want to hear it. No, don't listen to them. That was literally Satan's first move, by the way. Don't listen to him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Just saying, okay? So, be faithful to your future spouse. No matter who you're with, no matter who you're with, no matter what phase of the relationship you are in, you got the infatuation, you got the situationship, you got the dating, you got the engaged. No matter where you are at, be faithful to your future spouse. So like you want to make out with your girl and you're like pretty committed. Do you want some other guy making out with your girl? Or do you want her pure and holy the night of matrimony? Right? Natalia's like, that's cringe. That's something my dad would say. No? Most of the time when Natalia's laughing at me, it's like, that's something my dad would say. That's what she says to me. Okay? Be faithful to your future spouse. Be faithful to your future spouse. In the throes of compromised decisions, there's loss of friends, loss of time, loss of money, loss of commitments, loss of responsibilities. Loss, I would say, even in character, spiritually. The consequence often is ruined friendships, an empty bank account, hurt emotionally, physically used, and time wasted. Okay? Okay, so we're in the situationship. Let me go through some cautions. They are often referred to as like our notions of like, oh, I'm supposed to, or I should, or maybe I'm supposed to. So there would be like the mercy dating. I've spent a lot of money on this. I bought clothes for dates, or I paid deposits for certain things, or my parents approve, or like I've gotten so close to their family. And so I should just keep going. Even though you know it's not the right thing. There's the pity dating. I feel sorry for them. Maybe I should go through with this anyway. I'm a giver and it's okay. I can just freely give of myself. Remember, Jesus paid a debt for you. And it's not your life to give. Okay? Number 3 is I feel sorry for you, or I'm tired of being single. I feel sorry for you, or I'm tired of being single. The analogy is like buying a house next to a restaurant because you're hungry. It just doesn't make sense. Okay? There is the scared what they might do if we break up. I'm scared of what they might do if they break up. They're unstable. Maybe they'll hurt themselves to gain pity, or maybe they'll hurt you, and this hangs over your head. We also have an SFC pioneer who is in this situation and has been for 6 years now. High empathy, doesn't want to feel the pain of the breakup, would never, ever, ever marry this person, but is stuck because they're scared of what that person will do, and they're scared of how they will feel. That is not a place to be in. That is not wasting life. Just literally. And there's no possibility, there's no growth in that. There's no spiritual growth. There's no character growth. There's nothing. That's just stuck. Super sad. Okay? There's a couple of people worth recognizing. There is the Messiah person. This is the person who is They're looking for a project. You know this person? They're looking for a project, and so the problem is the dynamics in the relationship. They're like, and there was a question about, oh, what if there's one that's a believer and one that there's not a believer, and one became a believer? The dynamic issue can be one becomes the discipler and the other one is the disciplee. That becomes a difficult dynamic when you're dating and you are trying to find out their character and their values, and yet you're having to address spiritual issues within them. That's why the relationship often becomes a vacuum, because it's just those two. So there's been couples that have done really good actually in saying, hey girl, you need to go to your girls. Hey guy, you need to go to your guys and get discipled by them outside of your relationship. Okay. Number 2 is the chaos fixer. They're bored, so they pick fights, and they like to make up and then repeat. They get bored, and so they're looking for someone like a certain level of chaos. And this happens as well. Like I know a guy who tends to like girls that are a little chaotic because he likes to fix the problem, and he's bored if not. Okay, things to be aware of. Number 2 in this is I made a mistake. I made a mistake, so I should continue dating. I made a mistake. So one is the sex. One is the sex. We talked about the connection points and the neurological points of sex. Well, I had sex with this guy or girl, so I should just continue on. I had a student in the early days. She got drunk. She had sex with a guy, and she's like, "Man, I knew I shouldn't do that, but I'm experiencing this connection to him, and I would never marry him, and I have no interest in dating this guy." He takes her out a couple days later and gets her drunk again. And she's like, well, I've already messed up once, so I might as well again. How many know that? That ended in utter ruin. That ended in utter ruin. That was not good. We make mistakes. Don't punish yourself for a past sin. It ignores God's willingness to forgive and the sufficiency of Jesus' work on the cross. It ignores God's willingness to forgive and the sufficiency of Jesus' work on the cross. He paid the price for each and every one of us for healing and redemption. There's the cut your losses. So the idea of like the card game, you've put a bunch of money in, so you just need to continue giving more money. Your happiness is not dependent on one person, so you need to cut your losses. That's just the reality. You need to cut your losses. Last is the emotional dating or marriages. The emotional dating or marriages. I talked about the baggage marries the baggage. So there are people who need a relationship so they don't feel lonely. There are people who are in love with the idea of being in love. So they're in it for the wrong reasons. They want to feel loved. They want to feel wanted. They want to feel secure. These are in irrational ways, not the good ways, okay? They want to feel mature. Maybe it will help them in their money situation. Maybe it'll help them in their status. Or the idea of like, who can you pull? Yeah, look who I pulled. They're super hot. You check that out, right? I'm on Instagram. Stop it. Don't act like you don't know. Yeah, see? You know. Oh, and I mentioned the over-empathy. Never marry for mercy, or never date for mercy. You knew you were supposed to break it off. You didn't want to hurt their feelings. Or maybe it's embarrassing. But here's the thing. It's not selfish. You'll just suffer. You will just suffer. Okay? I had a personality profile I wanted to go over, but I think for the sake of time I will not. The enemy wants people to marry for selfish reasons. The enemy wants people to marry for selfish reasons. So the first step in making a wise marriage choice is ending a foolish dating choice. The first step in making a wise marriage choice is ending a foolish dating choice. Make sense? Okay. Last point, dating and romance, and then Caleb and Eileen will come up and share their story. When we get to the point of dating and romance, let's just say this is maybe the engaged part or like very close to getting engaged. Very serious. We've been dating a while. We know each other really well. And a question that often comes up is, what are the boundaries? How far can I go? How far can we go? How far can we go, Pastor Josh? Sexually, I mean. That's typically what the question means, right? How far can we go? We've talked about this in previous weeks. And what I would say in that situation is that's the wrong question. That's actually the wrong question. Be faithful to your future spouse, right? Here's what Song of Solomon says about this. And this is, if you guys don't know Song of Solomon, it is love chapters in Scripture, okay? Song of Solomon, or Song of Songs 2. I am the spring crocus blooming on the Sharon plain, the lily of the valley, like a lily among thistles and my darling among young men. Like the finest apple tree in the orchard is my lover among other young men. I sit in delightful shade and taste his delicious fruit. He escorts me to the banquet hall. It's obvious how much he loves me. Strengthens me with raisin cakes, refreshes me with apples, for I am weak with love. His left arm is under my head, and his right arm embraces me. Listen to this. Promise me, O women of Jerusalem, by the gazelles and the wild deer, not to awaken love until the time is right. Do not waken love until the time is right. Again, you do not give beyond what you are committed to. So for the mature couples in the room, or the mature people in the room that may have interest in like, hey, this is down the line in dating. I'm going to go over this quickly. There's several things that we go over with you. One is that you understand your partner's love languages. Number 2, that you understand conflict management or resolution. And number 3, that you're aware of expectations. Okay? So you guys, how many know the 5 love languages? You know some of them? A few of you? Okay. So there is words of affirmation. There's acts of service. There's receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. How you express love easiest through those 5. So I am physical touch. That's the number 1 way that I feel loved. So when I go to love Angela, I give her hugs and kisses, and I grab her butt. And it's great. Now, why are you laughing? That was like a 2-second delay. That was way too far delayed. Okay. Here's the thing, though. Her number 1, it switches every once in a while. I think now it's for sure quality time. Okay? So Angela's is quality time. So she does not receive physical touch like I do. If she just walked up and hugged me, first of all, I'd be like, what do you want? No, I wouldn't have. Because I know she wants something. If Angela comes up and touches me on the arm, she wants something, and she's getting my attention. Because just by her touching my arm, I get the full dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. Hits the roof. Like, you can have whatever you want. I am available. Okay? So, quality time. So I express my love to her in physical touch, and she's like, she doesn't care. She doesn't care. Because her number 1 is quality time, right? So if I'm going to love her well, I need to spend quality time with her. You with me? I once had a young man who came to small group, and in small group leaders, is this for you? And the young man, he'd been with us, and we'd gone through a lot of growth together. And all of a sudden, one week he comes in late, and he sits in the back, and we're talking, and he's quiet the whole time. I know for sure he is waiting for a small group to end, and everyone's going to leave, and then we're going to have a real discussion. So he's just sitting. This is what happens. So we go through the whole night. He's sitting there, and then he comes up, and he and his fiance had been coming to small group. And he's like, I haven't been here in 2 weeks, and in the last 2 weeks, my girl left, and she's with another guy already. We're like, what? So we immediately start talking about asking him questions and all of this, like, man, that's heartbreaking. What happened? We're just trying to figure out. And it came down to love languages. He was not filling her love tank. He was loving her the way that he felt loved. And as a result, she didn't feel loved at all. And because they were just coming to know Jesus. They were just coming to know Jesus. So there was a lot of values. There was a lot of character growth that needed to happen. And as a result, it was easy for her just to bounce. The reality is he sat there in shock and realizing that he hadn't filled her love tank at all. Okay? The reason I bring this up is you'll realize, even in small group, when you're loving your guys well and when you're loving your girls well, you'll see this. You'll start to see this. You're with me? Everyone's quiet suddenly. Yeah? Acts of service, quality time. Now for you guys, this is free. Okay? You ready? So when you get married, my girl was quality time. And then we had kids, and it became acts of service. Real quick. Once you have kids. So just so you know. It'll switch. And then now that our kids are older, it's switched back to quality time. But if your girl is acts of service, get the freaking vacuum out and vacuum the dang house. Okay? Love your wife well. Okay. Number 2 is conflict management and getting off the crazy cycle, understanding that. And then expectations. You are bringing into this relationship expectations that you are maybe not aware of. And expectations, unmet expectations, are often the killer of any relationship. Okay? Unmet expectations. So, I have these issues, but I'm really in love with you. We want to get married. And all of your problems, as I said previous, will become magnified when you get married. That's going to happen. And what will also come out is your unmet expectations of things that you thought would happen, but didn't. Okay? We had some close friends that are, to this day, not divorced, but they do not live together. Weirdest thing ever. Both of them, when they started to have marriage problems, they came to us. This is back when we were still in the U.S. And they said, hey, would you help us? Would you help us? And we said, yeah, we'll help you. And we sat both of them, and we wanted to know, okay, what is it? What do you desire in marriage? And both of them described the exact same thing. They wanted the same thing. They wanted the house and the white picket fence and the nice yard and some kids playing in the yard. That's what they wanted. She, however, came from a background with no dad and her mom. And what her mom taught her was never listen to any man and never be dependent on any man, ever. So we began to talk to him, and I asked him about his background. He's like, oh yeah, my parents were Christian, and we grew up in the house, and my parents never fought. Never fought one time ever, never saw him fight ever. Really? Translation, his dad said what was going to happen, when it was going to happen, and how it was going to happen, right? And his mom was quite submissive and went along with it. Let's put these two people together in the room. They're going to make marriage. She's not listening to any man and will not be dependent on any man because that is her family values. His family values that he didn't even realize was what I say goes. They wanted the same thing, but literally couldn't get through a single conversation without conflict, without a fight. And we tried and worked. And they got to both of them to the point where they would not resolve. It caused them too much pain or too much fear to go back and fix the issues of their family of origin, the negative values that were handed down to them, even though they wanted the same thing. And it's tragic. They have a beautiful little girl. They live separately. And it's sad. Okay. So here's the last points. If you guys were here when David and Rosa shared, they shared a beautiful point. When you begin dating, start with the end in mind. Remember, marriage, the end goal, demonstrates the love of Jesus for the church, is an outward expression of how we express God's love. Practice covenant from the beginning, that it creates a safe place to grow together. Okay? We often get asked by by boys and students, guys and girls, what do I need to get to know? What do I need to get to know? You can write this down. You need to know their faith story. You need to know the values in across the board in all spectrums of life, the things that they value. You need to get to know their family and their family relationships. Their family relationships will give you insight into conflict management. It'll give you insight into the health between mom and dad and whatever those relationships are, okay? In this time, when you are dating, remember when this heavy dating phase, the baggage will come out. The baggage will come out. It will. You'll be able to find out about them in their emotional health and in their family of origin. And at that point, you can understand and work together in growth, in creating one story and working towards a place of health, working towards a place of growth, working towards a place of healing. Because you marry the family as well. Right, Caleb? And Eileen? You marry the family as well? All right. I told Caleb that several years before he got married. He had no clue until he got married. Then he goes, yep, you marry the family. And Eileen knows as well. Yeah. Okay. Caleb and Eileen, if you guys would come up and share your story. These are some of my favorite people. They also make babies. If you've ever been to church and met them. Beautiful babies. If you've ever come to church, you can come and squeeze them, but you will have to fight Angela to squeeze the babies. Yeah. So hey, listen up. Angela and I haven't shared, for this group in this series, I actually haven't shared our story. I'm not going to now. I will next week. Angela and I actually met at church camp when we were 13 for the Bible school. Yeah, we're those people. Don't hold it against us. But what I love to tease these guys is these guys also met at church camp. I love it. At Connect. So this is why. So you SFCers, when I say go to Connect, you never know what will happen. Okay? Go to Connect. Your people might be there. Serious. Go to Connect. You might end up married. Okay. Here you go. Do you want a mic as well? So you can interrupt him. You got both on?
I'm good at that.
When he says something wrong, interrupt him.
When I say something wrong, I don't say something wrong, Josh. I don't say wrong things. Shall I start?
Off the plan, yeah.
Okay. So, as Josh said, we go way back. So, we're talking in the car. I was like, I was at SFC 2-3 years ago. And it's been like 6-7 years since I've been here. Like when we started SFC, we sat in a circle with handout sheets. And Josh was making up as he was going what he was saying. He had no idea. He still doesn't. Yeah, so we are the Munyashas. We did meet at Connect. I think we're like one of the official first Connect couples, right? Back then. Yeah, we just paved the way for you guys, you know? All the hard work we did. Yeah. So yeah, if we just give a short introduction. So yeah, we, at Connect, Eileen was studying in Sweden. And I was of course in SFC. And at Connect, we get there and, just a short introduction of ours. Yeah. We get there and I see this girl in a blue dress and it's over. It's over. And I went up to Angela at some point and I'm like, Angela, you know there's this. And Angela goes, yep. So she already knew what was going on. And so that was, we had our moments. I remember one of the first moments, well, I was already gone, so that was bad. But one of the things that was important for me was really her heart. I remember we were chilling at SFC in the evening, playing games, and I was like, just trying to figure out any possible way to get like a one-on-one, you know. And then she was annoying because she had two of her best friends that were always hanging around. And I kind of wanted to, you know, like, how do I separate this one sheep from the rest? No. That's a bad analogy. Sorry. That's a very bad analogy. Don't take that seriously. Don't take that seriously. No. We are. No, I was respectful of her friends as well. She'll tell you.
That was important, yeah.
That was important. But I remember the moment that was like, of course, I thought she was very beautiful and all that stuff. But I remember for me what was the key deciding factor is I was looking for a woman who was really serious about her faith and really put it into practice. And wasn't just... I mean, I tell you this seriously, I went... The 2 years prior, me and a couple of buddies, we did, I think, every possible Christian conference you could do in this country. We did all of them. And we were just looking, you know, and we were just going and just hunting. And no, we went to praise the Lord and to grow in our faith. No. Sure. No, but that was very serious for me. I mean, I met a lot of Christian girls, but it was a long time, and it was really something for me to meet someone who was like, she had her own faith, and she wanted to serve the Lord in her own way. And she was active, and she was serious, and it wasn't a side thing. It was really in her. It was really her heart. And one of the first conversations I had with her, I remember she told me she had to actually share a room with one of her friends, even a bed, I think, for like 6 months. Something like that? Even longer?
Yeah, housing was bad.
Housing was bad, yeah. And she said, yeah, you know, in the evenings in one of our first conversations, she goes, oh, one of the things we really enjoy doing is we just go in front of the window and we just pray over our city. And I was like, you pray over your city? And I was just blown away by that conversation. Because it was in that moment when we had that initial conversation. It wasn't any pretend. She didn't have to say that. It wasn't like a spiritual vibe. We were just hanging out. It just came out really naturally. And I said, wow, I think she's serious. She's beautiful and serious. She loves Jesus. And from there, things developed. And then there was a little bit of a break. Things didn't go as planned. And
more explicit. Well, we didn't have contact.
No, we didn't have contact after Connect for a while.
Yeah.
And then, and then I already thought, yeah. I already thought this is not going to happen. And I was already kind of like, okay, well, you know, great girl, but okay. And then 2-3 months later, I see she clicked on my profile picture.
On LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn.
Yeah, okay.
On LinkedIn. You guys, OG dating was LinkedIn. That was where it was at. No. It's not where it was. I was jobless. And God sent me Eileen. So she didn't have social media. So
you didn't have social
media.
Sorry.
She had. I didn't have social media, and we weren't friends. So I thought I was like, this is the girl. It's not gonna happen. But when she clicked on that, and I saw that face again, man, all the memories came flooding back. And then this was the problem. I was on LinkedIn, and I, for some reason, visited her profile like 9 times. And then my roommate gets home, Tim, and he goes, bro, why did you keep going on my profile? Because I was also looking for a job, and I was using his for comparison. Like, how can I update my profile? And he goes, yeah, every time you go on my profile, I get a notification. And I about died. So, yeah. And I actually, at a certain point, I was in the car with my boys outside of church, and I was like, man, I need to make a move here. So I wrote her a very direct message and was like...
Also on LinkedIn?
On LinkedIn, guys. On LinkedIn. I'm a professional dater. That doesn't sound positive, actually, when I think about that. Well, I wrote her a very serious message, and it was like, hey, straight up, I'm interested in you. I think we had a connection, and I want to get to know you better. Yeah. And she replied with, I think that's a great idea, but let's do that with the prospect of friendship in mind.
First boundary set.
First boundary set. And when I saw the word friendship, no! The friend zone! And somehow I was rescued out of the friend zone, so yeah.
Yeah, pretty quickly, yeah? You left it pretty quickly.
Yeah. Anyway, so from there we switched to WhatsApp and we took it casual. And we started dating, yeah. So that's kind of how we met. Oh, there's some additional stuff here.
There was nothing casual. One time he's like, hey, I've been messaging this girl, you know that girl from Connect? I was like, oh yeah, Eileen. He goes, here, this is the messages. And he starts flipping on his phone. It was like this. Okay, that's the top. I was like, that was one message? I'm like, yeah, but there's like 4 or 5. It was not casual.
Wow. Well, Eileen was like a...
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eileen wasn't the, hey, how are you type of messenger.
Still
not. She would start by sending a message, and then she'd look at it, and she'd think about it, and she'd respond, and I can respond back, but it's the next day when I'm getting the next message. So at a certain point, we were writing emails on WhatsApp. I even had to open WhatsApp web in uni to just type out a message to get it to you. So that was in the beginning when we were getting to know each other.
Yeah. And it was also, I mean, it kind of happened that way, that we would just really write letters to each other or emails, but it was also a bit with the purpose of, you know, not just like being texting the whole time and like just talking the whole time, because that was not an explicit boundary we talked about, but it was just something that, yeah, we did do to protect ourselves from becoming too soon too dependent on each other. And then that way was just a better way to really just get to know each other. But keep a little bit of a distance. And what was really, I think that's an interesting point. What was really impressive to me, especially when I got your first message on LinkedIn, but also all throughout the time after that. So I think we just like wrote those messages for like 2-3 months or something. Then you came to visit me in Sweden. So we didn't see each other at all in that time. And then we did video call, I think. But also then like just like very set up, like not just in between, just like, okay, you know, like this is our video call date and we're going to video call for 1.5 hours or whatever. And then after that you came to visit and then we made it official. But Caleb was very, very direct and clear and intentional the whole time. And even like while we were dating, like there was never one moment where I had to worry, is this guy really into me? Or is he really serious about this? You know, I never had to worry what are his intentions with me, but you also never put me under pressure. Like, I don't know how he did it, but he really just managed to, I don't know, for all the guys, if you managed to do this, do it. It was great. As a girl, I felt so safe and I felt so, safe in every way, because I just, had that time to figure out what I wanted, because I didn't have the same feelings that he had at that time. I had to catch up to that. Well, I didn't have to. I did. And the whole point was to figure out if I would. And he just left me the space for that, while also making me feel safe in knowing that he was serious and that he had the right intentions, and it also showed how confident and secure he was, by just telling me outright and just being there with that. But I was very cautious in the beginning, I think, because I had made some, not horrible experiences, but like guys I had gotten to know before. Things didn't go right. It was never really, really bad, but I just had learned from that. And so we just, in the beginning, I think I was quite clear with, for instance, the friendship thing, which obviously then became redundant very quickly, but but we still kept it very, so I was very careful and also open about what I would share at what stage in our relationship. So I was and that's also why the not texting the whole time helped, because I had time to think about what I was going to tell him. So I was very careful with, how much of my heart, like how vulnerable do I want to make myself. I'm not talking about physically, I'm really just talking about emotionally, or even mentally, like how much do I share with him. And I try to think, where is our relationship at? So like before you're dating, you're really just friends, and you're not even best friends. So you should just share accordingly, like how much do you share to like a guy friend that's maybe a bit better guy friend than others, but still not your boyfriend, not a best friend. And I was really careful with like sharing according to that, just to protect my heart, because I hadn't done that very well before. And I mean, Josh obviously like showed all the physical effects of if you share too much too quickly and then it breaks apart. That can do to your heart and how you will feel. And I mean, that's very real. But you can protect yourself, and I really did. So to the point that I think if we had split up at any point, of course it would have been hard and sad and everything, but it would have been okay. Because we were very careful in, not oversharing, not going too quickly. Did I forget something about this? So I was very, very careful with that and really protecting my heart. So we were also really thinking about, before you're dating, you're really just friends. You're not in a relationship yet, you shouldn't talk, or we thought we wouldn't talk like we are. And once you're in a relationship, you're also just dating. You're not married yet. So what you do and how you talk to each other should really reflect that. And I think that just kept us really safe. Like, we were talking in the car because we were like, I asked him, I was like, is there anything we should have done differently? And probably there are things, but you just said, you're like, I don't remember any drama in our relationship. And we dated for, I think, 2.5 years before we got married. But I think part of the reason there wasn't any drama is also because we just really took it slow and were very intentional with what we shared and when. I think I want to tell one more thing about when we started dating. One other thing that was very important to me, because also I had done that wrong in the past, so you learn from your mistakes, is that I didn't want to, I wanted to get to know Caleb for who he was. Like, really just the person Caleb, and then decide, do I like it? Rather than having a mold or having like an idea, of what I want my husband or my boyfriend, whatever, my partner to be like, and then just like seeing, does he fit it? Can I make him like fit into it? Because that goes really wrong and it's very unfair and it just leads to hurt on all sides. So I think, my approach was very, really, like, very much, who is this person and do I like him? Just for who he is, and obviously I do. But I think you are probably also different than, like, guys I was interested in the past. And part of the reason...
White boys.
That's true. But let's be honest, I come from a village in Germany. It's not like there's a lot of diversity there.
I'm holding mine up.
No, but I think, I don't know, like, if you feel like, you have this one person or this idea of what he or she has to be like, and you just try to fit someone into it, you not just will it go wrong and be hurtful, but you also miss out, Maybe your person is actually different than what you think they're like.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. The next thing I wanted to basically touch on briefly was the boundaries when it comes to touch. Josh talked about it a lot already. So, we also had an interesting situation because we lived in separate countries for a year?
I think so, but longer now.
Longer than a year. So we had the situation of, like, how are we going to do this when we go back and forth, And one of the things we agreed on is we will not stay in the same room ever. And we will make sure someone else is in the house if we're there. So that was one of the things we did. And it was the most practical thing we could think of. And then Annie said, no, we did stay in one room together once. But her best friend was also there. So
in the room.
In the room. So, and that was just a really intentional step to take in not the easiest situation. Also, you're broke, so you can't just be buying hotels. The thing what Josh was talking about was the perspective on sex and the perspective on what marriage is and the ultimate expression. That I'm lucky, I think, in that we had a lot of those conversations before, early on, and I think really that is the focus. Like, especially for guys, I think we neglect. We don't think so much about you can just imagine yourself. Oh, this is just the best thing ever. Your brain can just be like, this is what we're no, this is the thing we're going for. This is one of the first reason I want to get a girlfriend. That's some of the things a lot of guys think of. And I think taking a step back and taking a moment to think about the ultimate purpose of marriage and sex and how you can see the gospel in that is not to focus. I grew up in a very African, my dad's Kenyan, so I grew up in a household where it was great, but there was a lot of rules to follow and reasons to, and it's more like don't do this, don't do that, It was not really an explanation as to why. And I really think that was a big change in my heart, was where I'm not thinking, what Josh is saying is so true. The question is not, what's the exact bound? Can I touch her 3 centimeters below her neckline in this moment, That's the wrong question to ask. I think the question to ask is to focus on what is the point of intimacy? Where do we want to go towards? Why do we, what is the fullness of sex, and how do you see Jesus and the church in that, in the beautiness and the oneness? As we come into Christ and we become believers, there's unity in the Holy Spirit who comes into us, and we become one with the Lord, and there's redemption. And when men and women get together, there's also unity in that, right? In that beautiful moment. There's oneness, you become one. And it's a reflection of what the gospel is. So what the enemy tries to do through pornography and through all the stuff around us, tries to devalue sex as if it's a commodity, something everyone's getting everywhere, things. And what I would press on your heart is to, why would the enemy use that as one of the most tempting ways to pull you down? Why would it be so pervasive everywhere? Like, the devil doesn't go after cheap little things. He goes after the things that have extreme importance and power and value. And if you ask yourself, why would the enemy focus so much of his attention on sex? There must be some gold in there. Right? So if you purify, if you take the time to understand the intention and the beauty in holiness of what it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to represent, that it's not just some act, some one-night stand and you move on, but that there's a fullness and commitment, and it's a reflection of the ultimate salvation. God paid the price for you, and He lets you experience that with a man and a woman in oneness, in that beautiful moment. It's so much more powerful than a couple minutes of feeling or pleasure. So, something I wanted to give you guys.
But now, if that's your conviction and you're in a relationship, how do you go about it?
Yeah. So, it's difficult because we didn't have, per se, we need to make sure that we had strong boundaries. What we did, for example, is we said, hey, we want to respect all the bikini and swimwear areas for sure. And I think one of the things that makes that, I noticed it became tougher and tougher over time. And not in the sense that you cross boundaries, but in the sense that when there's touch, it's foreplay for sex, right? That's kind of what you're doing. You're practicing warm-up to get sex. And if you keep doing that and you don't do that, you're training your body, what Josh is saying, to do something it's not supposed to do. You're supposed to prepare yourself to go somewhere. So I think it's something you have to be praying about, you have to be very intentional, talking about together. I think you need accountability. I think one of the things that was the hardest with some of my other friends was being honest in what you guys decide on, hey, this is what we're doing and this is the boundaries we're setting. And being accountable to someone, that it's not just something you said, hey, I wrote this down in my diary, and you cross that boundary, you're like, well, sucks. Let's keep going from here. That's gone. I think you need to have people in your life to really keep you sharp with that. So I had some good friends who really kept each other accountable in that area. Oh, yeah. What I'm telling you now about boundaries, about all these things, this is not something to think about Like, this is not something to put in your brain and be like, oh, you know, when I get a relationship and I'm interested in someone, let me think about it right then. Like, that's the wrong moment to think about it. You need to make those decisions about... You need to have these conversations in small group with your friend. You need to have them now, when you're single. And because the beauty of infatuation is also also the sunglasses you put on. You don't see anything anymore. Everything becomes blind, and you have this sole focus, and everything is beautiful and perfect. And it's very difficult to make healthy decisions when you're infatuated. So that conversation about, hey, and I know it's a tough one as well, or something maybe not everyone wants to talk about because there's a lot of pain associated with maybe past mistakes. But I think you should have that conversation like this week. Find someone, if you're serious about Jesus and you're serious about dating and you want to get married, this conversation you should have it now. Before there's anything, before there's even, when you think you're just single as can be. That's the time to have that conversation. Because you're clear-minded, right?
And you both should have that conviction. Because if you're dating someone who is like, no, I don't necessarily have to wait, then it's going to get very, very tough. Yeah. And also, I mean, you already don't share a core value.
Yeah. And you're not as strong as you think, by the way. If you're going, every guy, man, nah. Me, I love Jesus. No way. I heard all the stories and I've been in church my whole life, you know. No, you're not as... There is a reason why this is so tough and why it's so hard. So make that decision now and be humble to know, hey, I'm a person. I mean, guys and girls. I read a statistic that there's some countries now in the world where more women are watching pornography than men, which is crazy to me, but it's the truth. So it's not a single sex issue, it's a both of you guys issue. But yeah, take that seriously. Okay. Are you up?
Yeah, maybe you want to do, because I feel like it fits to talking about community and like how we really didn't isolate ourselves. We just got to know all our friends.
Yeah. The community thing. So every time we use the word community, something in Josh's heart goes, yay! It's always been that way. One of the biggest red flags in dating is if you don't want to introduce the person to your community. That is the biggest. That says so much. Because it says something about the person you're dating. You know, oh, they're maybe not the person I think they should be. But it also says something about your own heart. Because you probably know then that, hey, okay, this person can't come into my community because I will be roasted and... and it says something about your heart as well, because if you don't want to introduce that person into your community, you are not ready to date. Because that means you're not heading towards, your direction is not a healthy marriage that should show the gospel in the relationship. That's not where you're going. So you're not ready to date. So if you're dating someone and you're thinking, man, I can't bring this person to community, it's over. It's over. And it'll hurt a little bit, but it's okay. It's okay. We were talking in the car, you know, and I had some guys, they were still single. The giraffe friend I was talking about, my other best friend. He's okay. His feelings aren't hurt. We had a boys' weekend in Switzerland a couple weeks ago, and we were talking, and like one of the things that I realized in that conversation was like, in the dating phase, you're thinking like this is the whole world, and you're like, man, it's just, and the time you don't have a partner just feels so long, and you're just like, man, I've been single forever, and you're like 20. Like you learned to wipe your butt 6 years ago, you know? Like,
You did?
you are fine. Like, time is so... time feels so like you feel like you've been alone for so long, and it's just, Lord, when are they coming? You know, and it's okay. Like, I understand that feeling because we were 23, so
Also very young.
Also young, very young, but that is nothing compared to 60 or 70 years with someone. Like that is crazy. Like, 60 years we have to be together. Like, and I'm really happy about it. It might not have sounded that way. I am very happily married. So. No, I joke. But my point is, you tend to think of like this period in your life when you really want to get. Some of you don't actually. Some of you are like, I'm fine. I just want to live and be free for. That's fine. But some of you might really be like, man, God, please send that person, please. And it's okay that it takes a bit longer. It's fine, you know. That's not a good reason to compromise anything or to rush things that shouldn't be rushed. Because that commitment of like a lifetime together is way, way longer, you know. And if you marry the wrong person, life will be hard for for the rest of your life, basically, right? So we are especially after one of my really good friends got divorced after only two years. And the reasons why he got divorced would have very easily been discovered if they would have had some proper counseling, and they would have had some moments where they would really have, because they were in community, but we just discovered way later after the fact they just didn't talk. There's just so many things that were just unknowns. And that's kind of what dating is, right? It's this idea of like, hey, I'm gonna be with this person. Like, I'm preparing to be with you forever.
We also want to talk about how we did that.
Yeah.
How we dated in community.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Do you have any questions? I can
also do that.
Go ahead.
Okay, so
The practicality.
I mean, sometimes it's really just good to hear stories.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, do this, don't do this, do it this way.
Yeah.
Like, okay. But the very first weekend you came to Malmö, so in Sweden, where I used to live. You came with a friend, first of all. So you had like one of your best friends with you, and you stayed at my best friend's house, and she stayed at my place. So the four of us were already together the whole weekend, and we got together that weekend. Like we had some time alone. And I remember on a Sunday, we went to church, and you met all my church friends. And then after church, you went to IKEA, which is a thing to do in Sweden. And you just met a lot of people right away. And then as you kept coming, you also met my other friends. And the same happened to me here, because you lived in a community house at that time. Not right in the beginning, but after a few months of dating. So every time I came here, we were already together with four other people, or even more people, because a lot of SFC people back then would be at that house. So we really never, ever shied away from community. And I think we didn't do it so intentionally, but I think it was also because we didn't have anything to hide. There was no shame. There was no... it was just enjoyable to be with people and to be in community and to get to know, and also to get to know each other's, circles, and to meet. That says so much about a person as well who they're hanging out with. I think we didn't think about it back then, and we didn't talk about it, but we really hung out a lot with other people.
Yeah. And I think the same is with, actually, when we went to Connect, I think the year after, she was with a couple called Chuck and Sally. They were Americans who've been, I don't remember.
They were missionaries in Denmark, and Malmö is right on not on the border, but there's a bridge between Copenhagen and Malmö, so I was a lot in Copenhagen as well. So I knew them very well.
And she was like, "This is Chuck, go on a walk." And I was like, "Oh, wow, that's fine." So me and Chuck went on a walk, and she was very serious about, "Hey, I want to know what you think." And I got an A+, by the way.
Yeah, it was
I was And same thing was with her pastor back home. He didn't.
in Germany.
In Germany. I didn't even speak the language, and I had to be interviewed by this guy. So we had a translator in between while he was questioning me about my life and decisions.
Yeah.
But it was fine, and that's kind of the point. Like, it's okay.
I think it was not just fine, but it was actually it was so important for me. I had like these two spiritual leaders in my life that knew me very well. I'd spent a lot of time with them. I had conversations with them and their wives. I knew their families, and they knew me, and I trusted 100% that they only had my best in mind. But also they weren't my family, so they were a bit removed from the situation because they wouldn't be the people that had to deal with them, you know. But I trusted them, I trusted their judgment. Both of them had good marriages, good families, and were very open about their marriages and families as well. So I sought that out. I was very, very, very intentional. I said, hey, I want to know what you think of this guy. And I want to know honestly. And I know Valdemar talked to you first, my pastor from Germany, he talked to you first, and he said, no, he's good. He's a good guy. His one point was that you grew up internationally. And he said, you know, you have to... Sometimes for people who do that, I mean, a lot of you probably did, I don't know. You know, you might not know where you really belong. I only grew up in Germany, so I can relate. But he had a point, you know, and he brought it up to me. It was nothing decisive or big or, you know, that would change his mind or my mind. But it was a point he brought up. And Chuck did as well, actually. He came back to me after the walk and was like, hey, A+, great guy. And then I think the next day I was at Connect. We sat down and we just talked about you and me and what it would look like to, you know, move forward. I think we've been dating for half a year or so at that point. But in all honesty, if one of them had told me this is not the guy, I would have broken up. It would have been very, very hard. But I was so committed to finding a good guy to marry, and I trusted these opinions so much that I would have listened. Or if they had told me, you know, hey, good guy, but we see this and this and this, or, you know, like maybe that could be an issue, I would have considered that. I mean, very, very much. It's, I was dead serious on marrying a good guy, that I took really the people that mattered to me or whose opinions mattered, I really wanted to hear, and their honest opinions. Taking the risk that they might tell me, no, he's not good, or he's not good for you, or whatever. And I would have listened, because what Caleb said, I mean, oh my goodness, I'm so convinced it's so much better to be single than married to the wrong person, or I don't believe in the wrong or the right person, but married to someone who's not good or who's not good for you. I think that's the worst that can happen.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so introduce people.
Yeah, but really also think of, maybe that's something else. I think about the people you know now in your life. You're okay with Josh and Angela. So I had to prove myself to them.
That wasn't easy. No.
Oh, it was. No, but I mean, think about it. Like, it's probably them or people back home or whoever, you know, that you really trust. I think it's better if it's not parents, if it's people who, you know, are a bit more removed from family, from the situation, but who know you very well and to have 100% your best in mind and then trust them. Because they see things differently than you. They see things better. They probably have been married for decades. Oh my goodness, I mean, it's like, why would you not, you know, like, seek out that counsel?
Yeah. And last thing from me, so I grew up, my parents dated in Kenya, I don't even know if you could call it dating. They got married in the 80s, no, yes, 80s,
No,
90s.
in the 90s.
In Kenya. It's so ancient. Sorry, Josh. Are you 90s? No? Okay. Nicole. No. So my dad actually, like in the culture then, you only introduce the person you're dating as your fiance. That was the culture. So when you say, hey, this is my girlfriend, the next question is, when are you getting married? Right? Can you imagine the pressure of introducing someone if the next question is, when's the date? Like, what? That's pressure. That's pressure. If you come home with someone and they're saying, okay, how many months left until we, where's the ring? That's kind of a question, where's the ring? That's the first introduction. So that was the culture. And it's not a healthy culture, by the way. I say that to encourage you as well, to create a healthy culture amongst each other as well. That it's make dating, like, it can be fun, it can be good to get to know each other, but don't put the pressure on your friends and your... I know we do it to joke around and we make fun, and that's completely fine. I do that as well. But be careful to not make the barrier so high that it's all or nothing. And it's not just, hey, we're getting to know each other to see if there's something here. So you can also be part of a healthy culture when people are dating.
Yeah, and I think so we didn't, it's funny because we got married 5 years ago, but back then situationships, I didn't know, I heard that term like a year ago. So I was still also not sure what it is. Don't think it existed when we were dating. What did exist, even it didn't grow up in Kenya obviously, but just in the church culture was the idea that, oh, you go on a coffee date, you're getting married. You know, like you date, you're getting married. And it's so unhealthy because no, you date to find out if you get married, if you want to get married. And if you during dating, find out you don't, fantastic, because you can break up. It's great. It's a great result of dating because you can still break up, especially if you've protected your heart, if you've had boundaries. Breaking up, if you don't want to pursue that marriage, is great. It's the best thing you can do. And even if you're engaged, I mean, you can still break up. It's only when you're married, you don't get to do that anymore. So I think it's so good to... I thought back when we were dating, that point was that push was unhealthy. Like you date to get married. Yeah, that is, of course, the intention. But you actually date to find out if you want to get married. And if you want to get married, you get engaged and get married. If you find out along the way you don't, again, just as good, just as fantastic, because now break up. Because when we were dating, that wasn't taught, it wasn't the culture, and I think it wasn't healthy.
Yeah, and that goes along with the idea of being intentional when you're dating, right? It goes together.
Yeah, it goes together, yeah.
You're dating to figure out, is this the right person for me? But if you're not dating for marriage, you shouldn't be dating in the first place, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's us. We're there. Yeah.
All right, so we'll do for the questions that are in the Q&A. So for those of you who are in the group app, we'll hit all the remaining ones. I'll give them a quick minute. Do you have questions? And I know, so for those of you who are catching up, the relationship series nights are longer. How many know that now? Okay, you caught up. Good. Do you have? We'll give them just a couple minutes. You guys have questions for these guys and their story? If not, we will end. Questions? Raise your hand. Go.
You can also ask afterwards.
Also, yes.
Do you feel like the distance was a big problem? Because with not staying in the same room and all that, you always have to find a new way. And I mean, just generally, you would like to see the person more often. Then you just had this big distance. Was it ever really an issue, or was it something you maybe thought of breaking up over?
For the recording. The question was the distance ever a problem?
No, we never thought about breaking up over it. We never had a moment where we thought about breaking up at all. But we were always talking about, when are we going to live in the same place? And it just happened that I moved here. I didn't want to be honest, never wanted to live here. Still do 6 years later. But it just happened to be that way because I was finishing my studies and you were still studying. That just made sense. So we knew there was an end, And I think without that, it would have been almost impossible. But we knew, this is temporary. I think it's different to date long distance because you always have each other's highlights, you meet at the weekend and you take day trips and you do fun stuff and you hang out with friends. So I also was very clear, and I don't want to get engaged before we have lived in the same place because I want to know what we're like in everyday life. And that was good because it is very different.
And in the same place, they mean in the same city? not in the same house?
No, in the same city. Yeah. We live in the, so like not different countries, same city.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think you move towards closing the gap.
Yeah.
That's kind of the direction, right? And that's part of the intentionality. It's like, okay, hey, we're here, we're getting to know each other, okay, that's the next step. And then there's, okay, well, at a certain point you're like, okay, we really like each other, this long distance thing is great, but what's coming next, you know? Mm-hmm. So I think that the being proactive as well into closing the gap and moving towards that way and finding a way. Because if you're not, then
what's the point?
What's the point?
Yeah.
I was going to add to that really quick. I haven't shared our story yet, and I will do so next week. Similarly, Angela and I lived 4 hours apart when we were dating. Different than these guys. The day I got married, I moved out of my mommy's house and I moved into Angela's house. So that's very different. We never lived in the same city at the same time. So it's a different scenario. And we'll share that as well. Other questions?
Angela's still dealing with those.
Hey.
When did you know for sure you were going to get married?
You want to?
They were
different than yours.
Yeah. For me, they were like, I wish I could recall them all, but there were like different moments where I was like, oh god, like these are really good. Like wow, I was already in love, of course. I guess the feelings, but he doesn't usually hear that, so has to soak it all in. I can joke, Josh. No, but there were little moments. Like I remember one where I had to, I think I had to fly from Sweden to here to the Netherlands, and he was at some church camp, and something went wrong with my credit card, and then he did so much, like he went to get Wi-Fi, and he went to get a credit card, and he just like put so much effort into booking those flights, that I was like, oh wow, like he really went out of his way. And there were like many, many little moments like this where he just really like sacrificed something, or or just really served me sacrificially. And I remember consciously thinking in those moments, okay, I think this is the guy I want to marry. Like, and they just accumulated. So just at some point just was natural.
Yeah, I think for me as well, it wasn't like one moment, it was just consistent character, I would say. But my dad, I remember I went to talk to my dad about it, and he was sharing like a story about like, depending on your life situation, even if you're 80, 90, because he asked me, how much % sure do you know you want to marry Eileen? And I was like, well, like 99, 98. He says, okay, that's good. He says, even if it was 80%, it's okay. So, and he shares a whole story about how there was a guy in counseling when he was in Kenya, and he came to him, and he was like 42, 43, and like was single for so long, and then finally this 36-year-old woman came and was like, man, he was like, Pastor, should I get married? He goes, brother, you're 43. Even with 60, 70%, just go, it's okay. That was very African. Actually.
Yeah, like, I don't know if you would be.
I don't know if I would give that advice. But,
any other questions?
How long did you guys wait to have kids?
3 years. We got married when we were 25.
2 years.
No.
And then we had kids.
No.
Oh.
We were 28 when we were
Well, we've been married.
We got married when we were 25.
You should know that.
It's also not that long ago.
I think, 3 years.
Yeah, but I mean, I was pregnant, of course. Like, they were born after we were married for 3 years.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I was pregnant, of course, when...
But when did we make the decision to say, okay, now we'll have kids?
After 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
2 years and something.
Yeah, 2.5.
I think we decided once we got married, at least 2 years, we just want to enjoy life. And, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all good for us. I wouldn't...
Any others? Okay, So let's give them a hand for sharing.